Hi, this is Karvi Rana from Logistics Insider, and joining me is Ms. Rashmi Karnad. She is the Manager, Climate Control Product Pharma from Qatar Airways. Welcome to CCUB 2023, ma'am. Ma'am, I would like to start by asking you my first question on the evolution of the healthcare logistics industry over the years, and maybe especially after the COVID. How has it turned out to be?
Yeah, well, as this was something we were talking about yesterday as well in some of the panel sessions. I think from the late 90s to this century, I would say, from the early 2000s, I think we've had some transformational changes in the healthcare industry per se, which is the healthcare consumer industry, as well as the healthcare logistics, which is also a part of the entire supply chain. Now, even if you look at the sheer numbers, even last year we were looking at 2022, the global healthcare consumer market, that is, people buying medicines, consuming medicines, or even, supplements, medical supplements and all of that. The market was something like 427 billion. And within 1 year, 2023, it's 509 billion. There's been a 19% growth. And there had been a lot of evolution in the last 20 to 30 years, purely because of the advancement in medicine, advancement in therapies, improvement in technology, and as well as, supply chains and networks that have grown so extensively, and also have an influence on the manufacturing and distribution of these pharmaceuticals. So we, from the healthcare supply chain logistics industry, it's probably about, the market size about 167 billion. It includes transportation, storage, all of that, air transport, sea transport. So it's a big industry on its own. So there has been a lot of growth. And then you mentioned COVID, but we've had, I think for us in the last 20, 30 years, we've had two transformational events, I will say, in the healthcare supply chain and logistics business alone. One was in 2013 when the EU GDP, Good Distribution Practice regulations, were implemented, and they had a global impact in the way supply chain was managed better in a governed and regulated manner. Earlier, there wasn't so much of oversight on it, so that itself took us a long time to overcome because, we're still a manual industry. And the second, as you said, is COVID. COVID taught us lessons that we hadn't learned in a long time, because suddenly we had to make do with closed borders, restricted networks, and then still the need for medicines and especially the vaccines and also treatments for COVID. COVID patients had to reach corners of the world where possibly many of us had not delved into or worked in. And so that was, pure learning. And also during COVID, it kind of exploded with the number of vaccines, the type of temperatures these vaccines had to be transported in vast amounts. Unlike earlier, we were used to certain categories and certain types of medicines, but suddenly with the COVID vaccines coming out so quickly, that was also something that kind of created a transformation in logistics.
Well, a great insight in how the industry has evolved, ma'am. Very detailed and very insightful indeed. Coming to my next question, we can see that there's been an evolution in demand for smaller batch manufacturing. So how has that evolved, and how is industry adapting to give a closely controlled and transparent global supply chain to their customers for smaller batch manufactured products?
Yeah, so smaller batch, I would say manufacturing or even transportation, again, is not new. This has been existing. Don't forget, even today, there are a lot of medicines being developed around the world. There are clinical trials. There's a lot of this that has been APIs and things that have been moving around the world in smaller batches. But increasingly, of course, what we are going to see, what we're seeing already, is more personalized medication, innovative drugs, which are not going to be manufactured in bulk, That means that they're going to target therapies for specific patients, for possibly their constitution type, for specific conditions. And these will again revolutionize the way things are done, because the sheer value of one dosage of some of these will probably go into $1 million. We are not used to that. A small box that somebody sees, going in a warehouse or something is going to cost $1.5 million, and it's going to be a single therapy for one patient. So if that is lost, the cost, of replacement is really high, and the treatment cannot get to the patient on time. And then also the fact that there's also, as I said, apart from personalized medicines, there's also a lot of advancement being made in the medicine business, or more medicines. People are looking for therapies for cancers. You've seen the malaria vaccine has just come out, which wasn't there. So that is going to still bring about more changes in the way we do things. We are not adapted overall for small box or small parcel transportation, in the bulk industry that we typically do very, very well. So that's something many of us are now adapting to in the supply chain. We're learning how to handle these small boxes with a lot of care and attention, with monitoring, to get them to the right place in the right time, in the right condition. So I wouldn't say the entire industry is fully prepared for it, but I know that lately there have been a lot of players, not just as airlines, but also, manufacturers are working, other transportation sectors are working towards this. And this is something that we'll have to learn, we'll have to adapt to. I mean, there is no choice. It has to be done. Somebody has to do it. The guys who do it faster and better will be the most successful, the first kids off.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the industry is going to adapt, because the logistics industry is indeed very resilient. We saw it in COVID. They are quick to learn and unlearn and relearn. So ma'am, we are here at CCUB 2023. I want to ask you, what importance does events like CCUB hold for the industry?
That's a good question. So I have been very fortunate to be part of CCUB in particular from the first edition. I think that was, it was called UBCCC, and then there was COVID, and then we had CCUB coming out. So it's really important. I know there are different ways people interpret the value of these events. Is it a big cost? People traveling, going and staying somewhere, and then what is the return on investment and all of that. But I'm a strong proponent of the fact that there is a certain amount of learning. Of course, there are also things you already know, that you see in these events. It's not, everything is not new. You probably take away 10-20% of, what's actually there, what is relevant to you, right? There are a lot of topics covered in many of these events, but the value of networking, cannot be undermined at these events, because if you have to meet the same number of people, it is going to take you more than a year to get hold of people, to meet different people from different fields. And these CCUB is one such event where Satish and his team have been very, very successful in bringing people from different fields, who have the same objectives. We actually work together. Sometimes we don't see each other, we don't meet each other, but we are part of the same supply chain, the same business. So it brings a lot of people together, and all of us collaborate. As you've seen, there's no competitive spirit, I would say. Here you see a lot of ground handlers who compete with each other typically in a business. A lot of us are airlines who compete with each other. But we come here with a spirit of collaboration. The objective is, how can we make our industry better? How can we learn things from people, that we can apply to our business, and then also make those relationships, which is the most important in our air freight business or ground transport business, is relationships. We still run a lot with these relationships. So we're able to network, meet people, and then there's always something we can do more after that. So highly successful.
Well, thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.